Hey guys, my name is Peter, and after using the new 2020 13-inch MacBook Pro for a few days, I have some thoughts, and spoiler alert, they're mostly positive. Let's get started. Now, you may already know this, but there are really two distinct versions of the 13-inch MacBook Pro. There is the base model, which has two Thunderbolt 3 ports and starts with the 8th gen Intel Core i5. And there is the upgraded model that has four Thunderbolt 3 ports and a 10th generation Intel Core i5. I went for the upgraded model just because I want this computer to last for a few extra years, but it is more expensive at $1,800 compared to $1,300 for the base model. That's enough about specs though, let's get into the video. Right off the bat, the device feels super premium. The metal unibody is super solid with almost no flex anywhere on the device, and the fact that you can effortlessly lift the lid with one finger really adds to the premium feel and makes you feel like you got what you paid for. The screen is also incredible. It's super high resolution and it's really difficult to discern individual pixels unless you really stick your face into the display. Now, you may have already heard about how bright this screen is, and I can confirm it gets very bright, enough that working outside or in brightly lit environments is easily workable, and you won't have to worry about the sun shining on your screen or anything like that. So far, the keyboard has also been great too. Compared to most other keyboards, I type faster and more accurately. This is mostly because Apple has gone back to the old Magic keyboard instead of the butterfly keyboard. Now, I never actually owned a Mac with the butterfly keyboard, but I did use them once in a while, and they were atrocious. I really don't get how you could properly type on a keyboard that basically feels like a touchscreen. So I am really glad Apple has gone back to these better and more durable keyboards. Above the keyboard is the touch bar. Now, this model finally has the physical escape key, which is great, but I'm actually a pretty big fan of the touch bar. A lot of people really seem to dislike it, but since you get all of your controls that you need right on the edge there, and then the rest of it is dynamic by app, it actually is pretty useful. Especially in apps like Final Cut or Photoshop, you get quick controls to useful features all the time. Now, there's also the fingerprint scanner, which I found super useful for unlocking, but I do wish that you could use it to put in your password for things like installing apps and enabling specific behaviors. The touchpad is, in short, the best I've used. It has this cool force touch functionality, which I've only really used for renaming files, but even that is pretty useful. It is super smooth and responsive and really feels like a natural extension of my arm. On most computers, I tend to reach for a mouse just because the touchpads aren't so great, but on this one, I haven't even used my mouse on it yet. There's just no need. I haven't tested the speakers much yet, but I do know that they get super loud and they sound pretty decent. The webcam though, it's bad. The only situation that I found it was actually usable was outside with tons of natural lighting, but I don't think that's a feasible option for most people. If only they had put the upgraded webcam from the new 27-inch iMac in this little MacBook Pro, that really would have been great. The microphones are pretty good. There's three of them, which is kind of surprising. They sound decent, but definitely not the studio quality that Apple is advertising for them. The microphones are pretty good overall, especially considering this is a fairly thin and light laptop. One design decision that I do take issue with though is the bezels. Especially on the top and bottom of the display, they are huge, especially considering this is a laptop being sold in 2020. It's not a deal breaker or anything. It would really be nice to see smaller bezels, or maybe a slightly bigger screen, like, a 14-inch MacBook Pro. The software experience so far has also been great. I haven't found Catalina to be as buggy as some people describe it to be, and coming from a Chromebook, it's really nice to have software that just works basically all the time and not having to do a bunch of workarounds for usually fairly simple things. All of the animations are super smooth and everything functions as it should. Performance has also been pretty good. I haven't run any benchmarks, but editing in Final Cut and playing Minecraft have both worked pretty well. This computer is definitely fairly powerful and it has a lot of RAM, so I wouldn't expect too many performance hiccups. So far this computer has been pretty great, but I will be doing a lot more testing for my full review, so subscribe if you don't want to miss it. I'm also planning a video explaining why I bought an Intel Mac instead of waiting for the ARM Mac, so stay tuned for that. If you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I make a lot of awesome content. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.